Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It's exactly 2 weeks now before our club Bonsai show, and I have a lot of work to do. The president of our club, Hong, asked everyone to submit the names of the trees they're putting in our club show so he can print up little name tags that go beside the trees to identify them. I did come up with a list, and unfortunately I have 26 trees that could possibly go in the show. That's way too many. So today I'm going to whittle that down. I'm going to select maybe 10 to 15 trees for the show. The trees I put in the show won't be just my best trees. I want a variety of styles, sizes, years in training, and species to make it really interesting. Today I'll be showing you the 26 possible trees I have for the club show, and then I'll be selecting it down to 10 to 15 for the final show trees. This coming up today in the Bonsai Zone. I'll start the process by going through each tree one by one and discussing its pros and cons for the show. Tree number 1 is in the greenhouse. It's my Ficus microcarpa in the Vietnam style bonsai pot. So right here. I do want to feature this pot in the show, the 3D printed Vietnam style pot. So I have this Ficus microcarpa in the pot. I have my tiger bark ficus in the same pot here that I could put on top of this stand. And the third one I have is out here, and it's a younger Ficus microcarpa. So I have to pick the best of those three, and I think it'll probably be this one, the Ficus microcarpa. This tree is looking good. This is the tiger bark ficus. Yeah, I'm not sure. One of those two anyway. The second tree is also in the greenhouse, and it's my bougainvillea here, my single trunk one. It's got some flowers. There's flowers just coming here, more up here. There's more in this branch, and there's some down here. So it could be, it could have a lot of nice flowers for the show. So that might be a possibility. Tree number 3 is my hibiscus bonsai, and it's way back in here. I don't know if you can see it too well. There it is. The leaves are quite small on it. I wouldn't say the structure's there yet, but it is an interesting species for a bonsai, so that's a possibility. I could do some cleanup work on it. Yeah, we'll see. Tree number 4, it's possible I could put my little bougainvillea forest in the show. You can see it there. It has some flowers on it now, and it's, you know, it's quite likely there'll be more flowers showing up in the next 2 weeks, so it's a nice little 3D printed pot. Yeah, would look quite nice in the show. And it doesn't take up a lot of room in the car either. Number 5 is my Sarissa forest. That's the one with the ancient ruins down there in the 3D printed pot, the little blue pot. So that's another possibility. It's actually looking pretty good. It's not old and mature. The trees are still young, but it's something different for sure. Tree number 6 is my little jade down here. Right there. It's nothing special. It's just a little jade. It's quite old now, but it looks nice. I like the little cheetah behind it. It's a nice display. A possibility for the show. Tree number 7 is my tropical style ficus here. That was in a recent video. A possibility. Again, it isn't that far developed, the branch structure and the canopy yet, but the roots are quite nice. And for a Ficus benjamina, it's not a bad looking tree. Tree number 8 is my Ficus religiosa. It's my tiny one here. it's looking pretty good. I usually display this with Wally, my Wally robot. That's a possibility for this show. I do have another Ficus religiosa down here. You can see it at the back there. It's the one with the roots growing across the table. I don't think that's developed enough. It's in a nice 3D printed pot, but yeah, I think it would be this little tiny one I would show. Tree number 9 is my Austrian pine. The needles are quite long this year. I fed it quite heavily, and we've had a really good growing season. I think I'm going to have to wire this tree to get all these branches nice and refined and tight looking. This tree is sort of a typical Japanese style bonsai, so it is possible if I get time to work on this tree, I could put it in the show, but I'm not sure. I might wait till next year. Tree number 10 is my little cascading cedar. I could wire this tree and make it look quite nice for the show. I don't really want to wire it. I want to train it with clip and grow. So I think it's only been in training for a couple of years. So I think I'll leave it for a few years in the future when I've got the branches, you know, in better positions and I've got more branch development on it. I think it'll be a really good tree, you know, in a couple of years. So I'll probably leave that for another show. Tree number 11 is way over here, and it's my ponytail palm. It's an old ponytail palm. It's probably 20 years old now, and it's getting some really nice, you know, surface texture on the trunk, or the whatever you call that. It's got enough branch structure that it looks nice, but yeah, it will only get better in future, but it is a possible tree I could put in the show. It would be very unusual. In case any of you ever wondered what happened to Dusty the squirrel, here he is. He's just showed up. There he is. Hello, Dusty. He's wild. He, you know, doesn't come and visit or anything, but he's not very scared around people. So that's why he's fairly close to me, but you can see he's moving away now. So that was Dusty. Possibility number 12 is my cedar avatar grove. This planting is styled to look like the avatar grove in Port Renfrew, BC. So yeah, it's a good possibility I'll put this in the show. It's looking quite good. Over here we have my larch. It's looking good. I do need a pot for it though. The pot's cracked and chipped. Yeah. So if I can find a nice pot of similar size that I can just kind of slip it into the new pot, that could go in the show. Possibility number 14 is my Schefflera clump. I'm going to be defoliating it and pruning it before the show. I think this one will definitely go in. Number 15 is my yucca forest. Needs a lot of cleanup. It's getting a lot of moss growing on the top of the soil there. The new shoots are coming in, but they're not real big yet. Yeah, there's one here that's getting quite large, but it's, you know, the show's only 2 weeks away. I don't think I'll have enough foliage on top to remove the old leaves, so I'm not sure it'll be looking its best this year. So maybe it'll have to wait till next year. I don't know. It is a very unusual species for a show, so, you know, it's interesting. Number 16 is my asparagus fern. The canopy's looking pretty good on it. Again, it's a very unusual species. It's not a tree, but it's a bonsai-shaped plant, I would say. Yeah, it's filling in. I do have kind of a bald spot on top here, which just happens the way they grow. But you can't really see it when, you know, the branches are up like this. Yeah, I think in 2 weeks I'll give it a pruning, and it could look quite good for the show, and a very unusual species. Number 17 is my bird's nest spruce. It's looking pretty good. The needles didn't darken up a whole lot this year. They're a little light color, but yeah, with some cleanup work, that could look pretty good for the show. At number 18 is my larch forest. The moss is growing in really thick, so that would definitely need some pruning to make them look more like bushes, so it doesn't just look like, you know, a velvet coating of moss. The new shoots are growing in really nicely in places, not generally overall. Some of the new buds haven't really put out new growth yet. So I was hoping to be able to strip off all the old needles and replace them with the new shorter growth. It's coming in nicely in some areas, but I'm not sure. I'll see in 2 weeks, but a good possibility for the show. Number 19 is over here. It's my cedar clump. I repotted it in this shallow pot this year, and it's been growing really well. I've just been letting it grow. I haven't been pruning it, just to get the roots established in the pot. It's looking good. I think I would like to let it grow this year, and then possibly prune it and trim it up and put it in the show for next year. I think it's a little early. I'd have to do all the landscaping down here, which would be really fun, but I just don't think the tree's ready to be pruned yet. I think I should let it grow so it has lots of strength to make it through the winter. Number 20 is my African style cedar forest. The cedars are styled to look like African acacia trees. It's got my elephants down below. This would probably be quite popular, especially with kids and that. Yeah, so a good possibility that could go in the show. Number 21 is my Schefflera. It's in the Vietnam style pot and stand. It's filling out. I was hoping it would grow more this year, but it's just taking off now. You can see there's a lot of new growth coming out on it. It's still got 2 weeks, so yeah, another good possibility. The 3D printed pot is looking really good, and it's unusual and would be interesting, I think. Number 22 is over here. It's my Ficus microcarpa, the one I call Fancy, and it does have some pretty fancy roots down here. This tree is probably 10 years away from being a really nice bonsai, but it's getting there slowly. The canopy is slowly developing. Yeah, so a good possibility to put in the show. For number 23, we need to go in the greenhouse. And it's my Portulacaria afroforest, right down here. And it's looking really good. So that could definitely go in the show. Number 24 is also in the greenhouse. It's my Sarissa forest that's styled to look like African acacia trees. It's looking very nice. Good possibility for the show. Possibility number 25 is also in the greenhouse here, and that's my Ficus microcarpa from seed. And you can see the roots are looking really good on it. Really happy with that. Yeah, so that's another good possibility for this show. I've never shown this tree, so it would be its very first bonsai show after 25 years. Number 26 is over here, and it's my aloe bonsai. I just recently repotted it, and it's recovered from the repotting really well. It's starting to grow again, and if I put this in the show, it would just be purely to have something very unusual in the show. I think a lot of people would be interested in seeing an aloe bonsai, and seeing it can be fairly successful. It looks starting to look more like a tree, maybe. There's a lot of other trees that I'm, quite happy with the progress on them. This acacia here, the monkey thorn, it's looking really good in my 3D printed pot. Starting to get a flat top canopy on it. Yeah, I think that'll be for another year though. So that's all the possible trees I could put in the bonsai show. It's way too many. I would need a truck to bring them all to the show. So I'm going to have to take it from 26 and down to maybe, as I said, 10 or 15. So I'm going to do that in part 2 of this series. I think I've used up all my time for this video. And it gives you guys a chance, if you want to comment which trees you like the best for the show, put them in the comments, and it may influence my decision. So I'll come back in part 2 with my actual selection of 10 to 15 trees for the show. As we leave the bonsai zone today, I'll play you some footage from a free concert in the park last weekend of some Japanese drumming. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for watching today in the Bonsai Zone.